Lord, have mercy upon us. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Almighty God, who in thy wisdom and goodness hast appointed the office of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of men and women, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in these islands. Let thy blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands, and those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge. And this we beg for Jesus Christ's sake. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.
Amen. Members, the House is now in session. Members, the minutes from Friday the 27th, last Friday, have been deferred. Messengers from the governor, there are none. Announcements from the speaker. We received notification from MP Famous that he'll be absent today. Other than that, there are no further announcements. Messengers from the Senate, there are none. Papers and other communications to the House, there are none. Petitions, there are none. Statements by ministers or junior ministers, we do have statements this morning. The first is in the name of the Minister for the Cabinet. Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to provide this honorable House with an update on our work to modernize government services. The statement follows my remarks from December 12, 2025. On that day, I shared a vision for a Bermuda where technology serves every resident and business with ease. I announced our partnership with Paradise Mobile, Google, and Abacus. Today, I'm here to report on our progress, that our progress is steady and our path is clear. In December, I spoke about the need for a unified digital space. I described a future where you could apply for a license, sign a document, or pay a bill from your phone. This was not just a dream of new tech. This was a promise to make the government more responsive. We want to move away from the days of long lines and paper forms. We remain committed to ensuring that our services tangibly enhance the lives of all of Bermuda's people. By strategically reimagining our digital infrastructure to be more people-centered and interconnected, we align with the strategic plan for the public service. Our digital transformation work is ever guided by three strong pillars: remaining customer-centric, staying future-focused, and actively promoting prosperity for all. To explain where we are, think of a digital work like building a new home. In December, we broke ground. We cleared the land and laid out the blueprint. Today, I can tell you the foundation is set and is strong and almost finished. We call this first part the foundation phase. Mr. Speaker, since we last spoke in December, we have achieved several key goals. We have built a secure cloud space. This acts as the digital soil where all our future services will grow. It ensures that our systems are modern and safe. We also updated the one-stop portal. This will be the front door to your government, and it will be easier to use and much simpler to navigate. We've already digitized a set of priority forms. This replaces the old way of doing things that caused delays. We've also brought in a helpful digital guide. This is an internet chat box. It helps people find forms and facts they need at any hour. Think of it as a clerk who never sleeps and is always ready to help. These steps are small, but they matter. They show we are moving towards a government that values your time. Mr. Speaker, as we look towards the end of the foundation phase, we are preparing for the next big step. This is phase 2. This is when the house we're building starts to truly function. We will expand the one-stop shop to include 5 services where people can make payments. This is a major change. It means you can transact with government and get a receipt in real time. You will not need to drive to a building or wait for a letter in the mail. In phase 2, we will also strengthen how you log on. We will use single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. These are better ways to prove who you are online. They act like high-quality locks to your digital front door. This protects your privacy and builds trust. We are making sure our systems are ready for heavy use, and we want them to be stable as more people start to use them. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about why this matters for the people of Bermuda. When the government works better, life gets easier. Instant submissions means no more mailing forms or going to a physical office to drop off paperwork. You will no longer have to spend your lunch break or your morning commute trying to reach a desk before it closes. Digital forms mean that weeks of waiting can be reduced to a few days. The speed of our work will finally match the speed of life. You'll be able to handle your business at 11 o'clock on a Sunday evening. You'll not have to take time out of your busy day to stand in line. Whether you're a parent sitting down after your kids are asleep or a small business owner wanting to catch up on work late at night, the government wants to be open for you. There is also a better record with electronic files. This increases the accountability of our work. Just like tracking a package you bought online, you will know where your request stands. That makes the whole process clear and open. In the long run, this digital platform will also lower costs. We will use less paper, less printing, and less storage. It will also reduce the manual work needed to process files. This means your tax dollars are being used more efficiently. This digital shift is about giving people back their time. It's about making sure no one is left behind. I also want to address the bigger picture. In December, I mentioned that this work would help our economy. This holds true today. By building these systems, we are creating a place where Bermudian tech talent can stay and work. We want to stop the loss of our best minds to other countries. We are building a digital home for them right here, and this program shows the world that Bermuda is ready for the future. Mr. Speaker, we are mindful of the risks. We know that tech can sometimes fail, and that is why we are taking a disciplined approach. We are not rushing. We are checking every step. We are training our public officers to manage these systems. We want to build internal skills so that we do not have to rely always on outside help. This makes our government stronger in the long run. We're also protecting our people's rights. This includes the right to access services and the right to privacy. Everything we do is designed to ensure that user data is used only for the purpose that is intended. We will not use it for anything else. We know that trust is the most important part of this project, and if people do not feel safe, they will not use the tools that we build. We must also think about those who are not comfortable with computers. We will ensure that digital growth does not mean leaving people in the dark. Our goal is to make things simple enough for everyone to use. We will continue to provide support for those who need it. Technology should be a bridge, not a wall. We are always looking for ways to provide in-person support for those who prefer it, even when we move more services online. Mr. Speaker, I am satisfied with our progress. Our partners at Paradise Mobile, Google, and Abacus are working well with our teams. The work we have done since December proves that we can change. It proves that we can move from old habits. We are building a public service that is modern, secure, and easy to reach. The path ahead is bright. As we move into phase 2, the benefits will become even clearer. People will see the differences in their daily lives. They will see a government that is ready to meet them where they are. We are staying true to the principles of good data care and strong security that I laid out in December. In closing, I want to thank the public officers who are working hard on this. Change is never easy, but we are meeting the challenge. The government remains clear in our goal. We are building the Bermuda of tomorrow. It is a digitally empowered place ready to serve, and I will continue to keep this House informed as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Appreciate that. Members, the next statement this morning is in the name of the same minister. Minister, would you like to continue?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to provide the House with an update on government's electoral reform work being advanced through the ministry responsible for the Cabinet Office and Digital Innovation in consultation with the Parliamentary Registrar and other relevant stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, the work continues to be organized around 4 pillars. voter access and registration, how people register to vote and access their ballot. Election day processes and administration, what happens at the polling stations on election day. Campaign and election finance, how campaigns are financed, and government and governance and oversight, how the parliamentary registrar's office is run. Our path is practical. We're looking for fixes that work in the real conditions of Bermuda's elections, not just in a textbook. Mr. Speaker, voter access and registration. To ensure feasibility, the ministry is collaborating with the parliamentary registrar to align any proposals with the operational requirements of election and voter administration. We've also continued discussions with subject matter experts on absentee and electronic overseas voting solutions, focusing on what is secure, verifiable, and workable in Bermuda. It is not just about adapting technology for its own sake. It's about understanding options, understanding risks, and ensuring that any potential model maintains integrity and public trust. Election day processes and administration. The next step is to talk with political parties and independent representatives about their experiences in the last election. Gathering their feedback will help us create a detailed playbook outlining procedures for polling stations. Since our elections have shifted from being mainly two-party to include more parties and independents, it is crucial to set clear rules for election day activities at polling stations. Our goal is to ensure our election procedures are consistent and enforced everywhere, regardless of the location or number of candidates. Campaign and election finance. The ministry is continuing targeted research and benchmarking on potential campaign finance rules. This work is being assessed through an integrity and financial crime lens. We want to ensure that political finance rules are consistent with Bermuda's anti-money laundering and countering the finance of terrorism standards. We will ensure our electoral framework is not exposed to illicit funds, including proceeds of crime. This includes carefully examining potential gaps, unintended exemptions, and practical compliance expectations so the rules are clear, proportionate, and capable of application. Mr. Speaker, we are basing our efforts on established guidelines and insights from the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, as well as election reports from CARICOM and the Organization of American States. By monitoring the regional elections and their findings, we will ensure Bermuda's reforms reflect practical lessons rather than theoretical or political motivated changes. Mr. Speaker, governance and oversight. This pillar will equip the parliamentary registrar to run elections efficiently. Discussing updates with the Parliamentary Elections Act is essential for effective electoral reform. As we modernize, it is important to provide the registrar with the tools needed to operate properly. Mr. Speaker, since my last update to this Honorable House in December 2025, our public engagement has continued. We've held a series of town halls across the island, appeared on radio talk shows, and received email suggestions. And those conversations are producing consistent and useful direction. People want easier access to the ballot and clearer processes. They also raise legitimate concerns about verification, election integrity, and confidence in outcomes. They're also concerned about campaign financing and seemingly inconsistent election day rules regarding polling stations. Mr. Speaker, at each town hall meeting, radio show, and online interview, a common thread emerges. People are genuinely appreciative that we are taking the time to hear their thoughts before any changes are made. Their feedback has played a pivotal role in expanding our list of possible adjustments for the future working group to review. We are committed to genuinely valuing the voices of Bermudian residents and view public engagement as more than just fulfilling a requirement. Feedback from town halls, radio shows, polls, emails, and interviews are being consolidated into key themes and questions. This analysis forms potential legal changes, administrative actions for the registrar, necessary verification safeguards, and oversight measures. The findings are being organized for the Electoral Working Group's review in the next governance stage. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has drafted terms of reference for the Electoral Reform Working Group that is not yet established. Preparations include selecting diverse members who include a balanced group with relevant expertise. Once formed, the group will promptly evaluate proposals for legality, feasibility, and enforceability, operational impact, implementation readiness, and public confidence. The goal is to form the group by March 30th and complete this work within 6 to 8 weeks. Mr. Speaker, the date the necessary legislation is to be tabled in this honorable House remains September 2026. However, public engagement remains ongoing. The contact list remains open for residents and organizations who wish to stay engaged and receive updates, and the ministry's informational materials remain available to those who wish to review the reform areas and provide informed feedback. Mr. Speaker, this work is moving deliberately, and we are listening, analyzing, testing options, and strengthening governance around decision-making so that reforms improve access while protecting integrity. I will continue to provide further updates to this honorable House as key milestones are reached. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is in the name of the Minister of Health. Minister?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
This morning, I am pleased to announce the launch of the Youth Mental Health Training Program led by the Department of Health. This important initiative is designed to empower local professionals who serve the youth of Bermuda with the essential skills to recognize, respond to, and refer young people experiencing mental health concerns. The program is particularly valuable for those who want to increase their confidence and competence in supporting young people during critical moments. This initiative is part of the Ministry of Health's ongoing commitment to build community mental health capacity, create sustainable support systems, and strengthen the safety nets around our youth. Mr. Speaker, adolescence is a highly impressionable period characterized by emotional, social, and neurological changes that can be challenging for a young person to navigate. When we recognize challenges early and come together to support our young people, we give them the tools to cope in healthy ways and help guide them towards a positive future. By equipping teachers, school staff, youth workers, coaches, mentors, social service providers, healthcare professionals, community volunteers, and others who regularly interact with adolescents, we reduce stigma, improve early intervention, and build compassionate, more resilient communities. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Mental Health Program is a 3-day course delivered via 2 days of interactive workshops offered virtually or in person for skills-based learning, and 1 half-day in-person sessions that takes a deep dive into adolescent brain development, anti-stigma strategies, and local referral processes and pathways. Additionally, monthly training sessions are scheduled throughout the year, and lunch will be provided for in-person participants. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Mental Health Training Program blends foundational knowledge with practical skills for mental health support. Participants can expect to build core skills in the following, Mr. Speaker: identifying early warning signs of mental health concerns in adolescents and understanding how to observe changes in behavior, mood, and functioning. Providing safe, immediate support that is youth-friendly, non-judgmental, and appropriate to the situation. Understanding referral pathways and knowing when and how to connect a young person with professional services. Using anti-stigma strategies and youth-centered communication to create environments where young people feel safe to seek help, and maintaining personal well-being while supporting others, including practical approaches to avoid burnout and secondary trauma. Mr. Speaker, this training also covers knowledge content on adolescent brain development, available resources on island, and collective brainstorming for stigma reduction within organizations. Participants who successfully complete the evaluation of the training will receive a certificate demonstrating their competency and mastering of these skills and concepts. Mr. Speaker, the Youth Mental Health Training Program recognizes that young people are best supported by the people they trust most, such as their family members, teachers, coaches, mentors, and community volunteers. Strengthening the skills of these trusted adults builds the community safely and a safety net that provides wraparound support. As we build capacity, we also build linkages between community support and professional services. This means supporting adolescent mental health is not just the role of clinicians, but a communal shared responsibility. Creating overlapping layers of support not only reduces delay in mental health support, but also ensures that no young person falls through the cracks. Mr. Speaker, as more people in our community develop competencies in adolescent mental health support, we will continue to break down stigmas, thus making it easier for young people to ask for help. In the short term, we are building a Bermuda where the youth receive the timely, compassionate, and appropriate support they need at the appropriate level. In the long term, Mr. Speaker, such training initiatives not only contribute to a more resilient youth population, but also drive cultural changes in how we think about and respond to adolescent mental health concerns and influence positive outcomes for young people across families, schools, sports clubs, and community programs. Mr. Speaker, in closing, the Youth Mental Health Training Program reflects the government's commitment to strengthening Bermuda's mental health landscape and ensuring the young people receive informed, compassionate support when they need it most. By investing in the adults who surround our youth, we invest in stronger families, safer schools, and healthier communities. I encourage anyone who works with adolescents to register and join us in building a more resilient future for Bermuda's young people. Registration is open, and further details on the schedule of sessions are available at www.gov.bm/youth mental health training. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is in the name of the Junior Minister for Justice. Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to the listening audience. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to inform this honorable House that the Ministry of Justice has now formally concluded its public consultation on comprehensive jury reform. While the public consultation period closed on January 31st of this year, we completed our final in-person engagement session on Wednesday this past week when the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Senator the Honorable Kim Wilkerson, and I met with sociology students at Bermuda College. That session marked the culmination of an extensive public engagement exercise designed to ensure that Bermudians from all walks of life had an opportunity to contribute to the future shape of our justice system. Mr. Speaker, this national conversation has been deliberate, inclusive, and far-reaching. In addition to the online consultation hosted at forum.gov.bm, which was open for written submissions from November 3rd, 2025 until January 31st, 2026, the ministry undertook a series of in-person meetings in collaboration with parish councils across the island. We completed community consultations with Sands Parish Council, Southampton Parish Council, Warwick Parish Council, Paget Parish Council, Hamilton Parish Council. I attended each of these meetings alongside the Attorney General. These sessions demonstrated a clear public interest in how our jury system operates and how it may be strengthened to reflect Bermuda's unique social and legal environment. These meetings provided residents with the opportunity to engage directly with us regarding the proposals, to ask questions, and to share their perspectives. We are extremely grateful for the assistance of the parish councils and their executive for facilitating and hosting these discussions. Mr. Speaker, in addition to broad public engagement, the ministry also undertook direct and structured consultation with key justice system stakeholders. We engaged with members of the judiciary, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the criminal bar to ensure that the operational, constitutional, and practical implications of the proposed reforms were carefully examined by the professionals who they would most affect. Their perspectives have been invaluable and will form a crucial foundation as to how the policy shapes up as we move forward. Mr. Speaker, beyond parish and professional engagement, the ministry placed particular emphasis on hearing from young people. The Attorney General, accompanying myself and Mr. Kevon Simons, the Law Reform Policy and Strategy Council, met with a group of prefects at Cedar Bridge Academy to discuss civic participation, the justice system, and the importance of jury service. The Attorney General also appeared online and on radio programs including The Daily Hour, Hot 107.5, and Power 95 to broaden public awareness and encourage participation, as well as solicit live commentary from the community. The engagement with students at Cedar Bridge Academy and the concluding session with Bermuda College sociology reflects a deliberate effort to ensure that young Bermudians, our future jurors, voters, legal practitioners, and policymakers were not merely observers, but active contributors to this reform dialogue. Mr. Speaker, as outlined in the original ministerial statement delivered in the Senate at the launch of this consultation, the proposed reforms were comprehensive and addressed both criminal and civil jury processes. For criminal trials, the proposals included: 1, reducing the number of jurors from 12 to 8, with potential exceptions for the most serious offenses and adjusting majority verdict requirements accordingly. Number 2, allowing medical exemption without court appearance. 3, increasing the maximum age for service to 75 with an opt-out for those aged 70 to 75. Number 4, expanding eligibility beyond the parliamentary register, subject to maintaining the principle of a jury of one's peers. 5, relaxing restrictions for individuals with certain criminal convictions to promote rehabilitation. 6, reducing the number of persons required to form a jury panel. 7, increasing jury compensation to reflect modern economic realities. 8, granting judicial discretion to excuse jurors based on employer requests. 9, reducing automatic exemptions to strengthen equality in jury selection. 10, allowing jury separation after deliberations have begun, subject to safeguards. 11, modernizing statutory language relating to persons with disabilities. 12, enabling persons with disabilities to serve with technological assistance. 13, providing for judge-only trials in limited and exceptional circumstances subject to constitutional considerations. And 14, exploring AI-assisted juror vetting tools to enhance transparency and integrity in jury selection. In civil proceedings, the consultation sought feedback on 1, introducing alternate jurors; 2, aligning peremptory challenges with criminal practice; 3, clarifying procedures for judicial summations and deliberations on liability and damages; 4, granting judges discretion to continue trials following the death or discharge of a juror. Mr. Speaker, the consultation phase has now closed. The next step is for the ministry to gather and synthesize the comprehensive feedback received from all segments of the community, including members of the public, students, the judiciary, the DPP's office, and the criminal bar. That analysis will inform the development of a clear policy position for consideration and approval by Cabinet. Once Cabinet has settled its position, the government will share that policy framework with the public, together with a transparent explanation of the reasoning underpinning the decisions taken. It is our intention to communicate those positions in the near future. Mr. Speaker, this process has been about strengthening public confidence in our justice system and ensuring that it remains capable of meeting contemporary demands. The jury system remains a cornerstone of civic participation in the administration of justice, and any reform must preserve fairness, efficiency, inclusion, and legitimacy. I wish to thank the Attorney General, our justice sector partners, parish councils, educators, students, members of the media, and all Bermudians who participated in this important national conversation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Junior Minister. And members, that brings us to a conclusion of the statements for this morning. Okay. You understand? Some questions. Okay. The next item on the order paper are reports of committees. There are none. The next item after that is question period. This morning we have written questions as well as questions from statements that are given today. So we'll move into the written questions first. And the first written question this morning is actually Yes, it is an oral response, yes. So the first this morning is from the Shadow Minister of Finance, MP Ducoud. Ducudo, would you like to put your question to the minister?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Speaker and listening audience. Will the Honorable Minister please provide this Honorable House with a list of senators and members of the House of Assembly who are currently receiving or have received any form of remuneration or compensation over and above their parliamentary or ministerial salaries for any work or services performed or consultancy or employment contract with any government ministries, quangos, statutory boards, or other publicly funded agencies or entities, entities or agencies as written, from 1 September 2024 to present, and the amount of remuneration or compensation received. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the question posed by the honorable member is broad in its reach, touching upon various arms of the public service and entities that fall outside the direct remit of my ministry. However, in the interest of full transparency and in the spirit of open cooperation, we have coordinated with our colleagues across all government ministries and relevant agencies and quangos to compile a comprehensive response to the question asked. The figures I am about to present represent a consolidated effort to provide the requested information. The amounts given are the total remuneration or compensation received for the total 14 months between September 2024 and November 2025. Appeals Tribunal and Contributory Pensions Committee, MP Neville Tyrrell, $200. MP Paul Wilmont, $0. Apprenticeship and Training Council, MP Zane De Silva, $0. Board of Education, Senator Lindsey Simmons, $0. Board of Trustees of the Golf Courses, MP Kim Swan, $0. Broadcasting Commission, MP Chris Famous, $0. MP Emily Gale Dill, $0. MP Alexa Lightbourne, $0. Cedar Bridge Academy Board of Governors, Senator Lindsey Simmons, $1,900. Copyright Tribunal, Senator Tawana Tannick, $0. Cost of Living Commission, Senator Lauren Bell, $150. MP Ianthea Simmons Wade, $200. MP Anthony Richardson, $0. MP Emily Gale Dill, $0. Criminal Injuries Compensation Board, Senator Lauren Bell, $0. Economic Development Board, MC Jashay Adams, $0. MP Jamal Simmons, $0. Immigration Board, MP Scott Simmons, $7,700. MP Crystal Caesar, Senator Crystal Caesar, $450. Senator Ariana Hudson, $350. MP Paul Wilmont, $1,000. Labor Advisory Council, MP Jason Hayward, $0. National Parks Commission, MP Zane De Silva, $0. National Sports Center Trustees, MP Owen Darrell, $0. National Workforce Development Advisory Board, MP Zane De Silva, $0. MP Scott Simmons, $6,800. Pension Commission, MP Curtis Dickinson, $0. Public Accounts Committee, MP Douglas DeCuto, $0. MP Curtis Dickinson, $0.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Well, the point of order is that the minister is misleading the House, Mr. Speaker. 0 is not a remuneration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
If you haven't been paid anything, then I'm assuming when I hear 0 that the individual didn't receive any funding, any payment. But can we leave that for the question period?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
MP Curtis Dickinson, $0. MP Scott Simmons, $0. MP Neville Tyrrell, $0. MP Renee Ming, $0. MP Vance Campbell, $0. MP Ben Smith, $0. Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board, MP Neville Tyrrell, $2,450. Registrar of Members Interest Committee, MP Lawrence Scott, $0. MP Kim Swan, $0. MP Jamal Simmons, $0. MP Emily Gail Dill, $0. Road Safety Council, MP Dennis Lister III, $500. Telecommunications, MP Chris Famous, $0. MP Emily Gail Dill, $0. MP Alexa Lightborn, $0. Wage Commission, Senator Misha Fubler, $0. Advisor to Minister of Finance, MP Jashay Adams, $46,182.36 for the period in question. Advisor to the Minister of Finance, MP Wayne Ferbert, $67,895.43 for the period in question. Communications Consultant for Cabinet Office, MP Jamal Simmons, $108,711.30 for the period in question. National Security Gang Violence Coordinator, MP Leroy Bean, $86,666.64 for the period in question. Quangos, Bermuda Airport Authority, MP Lawrence Scott, $31,250 for the period in question. MP Scott Simmons, $25,000 for the period in question. MP Levita Fogo, $25,000 for the period in question. Civil Aviation Authority, Senator Kim Wilkerson, $2,250. MP Jamal Simmons, $12,000. Bermuda Board of Tourism, MP Kim Swan, $25,000. Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, MP Jamal Simmons, $300. MP Jashay Adams, $600. Bermuda Hospitals Board, MP Ianthea Wade Simmons, $1,150. Bermuda Housing Corporation, MP Chris Famous, $700. MP Emily Gail Dill, $2,700. Senator Lauren Bell, $1,250. Bermuda Land Management Corporation, MP Neville Terrell, $4,100. MP Dennis Lister III, $1,750. MP Emily Gail Dill, $250. MP Paul Wilmont, $250. Bermuda Shipping and Marine Authority, MP Jamal Simmons, $15,000. And Senator Kim Wilkerson, $0. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Do you have supplementary questions a question rather?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank the minister for his comprehensive answers. For those listening in, it would be interesting to note that he only answered up to November because, of course, that is when these questions were submitted. So these questions have taken the government 3.5 months to answer. I also note, Mr. Speaker, that 0 is not over and above the remuneration, and also for the listening audience that the participation of the MPs in the parliamentary committees is in fact part of their original job description, which was not the intent of the question. So my question to the minister is, I did not notice any of the opposition MPs on any of these paid committee positions. Could the minister explain why all of the paid positions seem to include only government MPs? Thank you.
Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is an application process to be on these various committees. I can only speak to the committees that are vetted through my office, and I can assure you that there were no applications from any opposition MPs to any.
Supplementary?
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Did the honorable member then receive application from everyone that did receive remuneration on the government side?
Minister?
Again, Mr. Speaker, I can only speak to the boards that are under my remit, and I did receive applications from members on the side to some of my boards.
Wow. Second sub, no further sub? Okay. Wow. We'll move on. The next written question this morning requires a written response, and it's from the MP Dakudo to the Minister of Finance, Premier. Have you received your written responses?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 18.4, I ask those to be deferred until Wednesday, one further time, as the final question. We're trying to make sure we get the correct answers.
Okay, so more information is needed for one of the questions? Okay. All right. They've been deferred until Wednesday. Okay. The next question, written question this morning, seeks an oral response, and this is from MP King to Premier and Minister of Finance. MP King, put your question.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Speaker, and members of the Honorable House and listening public. To date, more than $16 million has been spent on funding the Casino Gaming Commission. Will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please advise this Honorable House of the measurable economic return for Bermuda achieved from the Commission since its establishment? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 17.5A, the proper object of the question is to obtain information, a question of fact within the minister's official cognizance or to act for an official action as per standing orders. This question acts for the measurable economic return achieved within the substance, invites an evaluative judgment or attribution and not a discrete fact. This is consistent, of course, also, Mr. Speaker, with Erskine May, Chapter 22, Paragraph 2212, which treats questions seeking an opinion or containing an argument as inadmissible. I invite to have the question ruled out of order and ask the questioner to submit a specific factual output for the commission rather than asserted economic return.
So what the Premier Minister has indicated is that the question should be able to produce a tangible answer. And when you broaden it to say an economic, let me look at the right wording of it. A measurable economic return. The question could have been more of a, and I'm just getting off more specific as to was it a dollar return? I'm just going off the top of my head rather than a more, because economic is broad and some of it may take in speculation. Okay, so it's suggested if you would like the question, you can resubmit it more defined.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Premier and Mr. Speaker. I'll ask a simple question.
Well,
How much money?
It's your written question.
Okay,
So
fair
right
enough.
now,
No,
if
that's
you want to
fine.
resubmit it, just resubmit it as a
I'll
written
resubmit
question.
it. Thank you, sir.
All right. The next members, the next question is also a written question, but that's been deferred until the next sitting, and there will be written responses to that.
Mr. Speaker, just by way of clarification, I know the whip has made mention of this already, but this question was submitted on the 18th of February.
I questioned the ministry in regard to that because we expected it today. They are seeking further information on one of the questions, and it got held up because of the traveling of ministers and others related to it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so we'll be here for Wednesday. Okay, and we'll now move on to the statements that were given today. The first statement this morning has a question from MP Linda Smith. MP Smith, would you like to put your question to the minister?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Minister. Yeah, you shouldn't be sitting there like that, first of all, when you got a question coming at you, see? So, secondly.
This question is in relation to the digital transformation team strategic update. The Honorable Minister said in his statement that 5 services are on the cards to be able to receive payments online. And I was wondering what those 5 services are.
Minister.
Thank you for that question. At this time, I would like for kind of dispensation to be able to find out exactly what those are. I just actually don't know them at this moment, but I will endeavor to get that answer for the honorable member and pass it on to her.
Okay. The minister said he'll seek to provide the correct information for you. Correct
Okay.
answer.
Can I ask a supplemental question?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering while you were doing that, if you could maybe also find out where land tax is on that priority list, and whether there are any plans for land tax to provide statements as opposed to 2 large bills twice a year, as it may help in the collection process. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, land tax does not fall under the minister's response for the cabinet office. It falls on myself, and I can advise the honorable member the answer to the question is yes.
The premier indicated that the question you were asked and the answer falls under his remit. So he did answer, and the answer was yes. Would you like a supplementary?
The answer was yes to which question?
Land tax, to the land tax.
Sorry, the land tax?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Supplementary?
Yes, supplemental, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
My understanding from the various government statements on this digital transformation is that this was supposed to be a cross-ministry, cross-government initiative. Are we to understand from the Honorable Premier's statement that in fact this is not a cross-ministry initiative and it is up to each ministry individually to be in charge of their digitization? As he said that the land tax was under him and not a question that the cabinet minister and the minister for digital transformation was unable to answer. Should we take it to believe that each minister is in fact in charge for the digital transformation of their
Mr.
own
Speaker,
ministry?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to standing orders, the question is out of order. He's inviting argument. He cannot make an argument in a statement when he's asking a question. These persons need to learn how to ask questions, Mr. Speaker.
Calm down.
Mr. Speaker, shall I wrap up my question succinctly? Sorry.
No, what I was going to say, Mr. Premier, was be mindful of what the Premier said. If you can put the question in a format that doesn't invite the argument, then put the question. Just put it in a
Is it the
straightforward
case
question.
that the Minister of Digital Transformation is overseeing transformation across multiple ministries? Or is it the case that each minister is in charge of the digital transformation of their own specific ministry? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the simple answer is that the digital transformation is across all of government. The Premier answered the question about the land tax because it falls specifically under him, but I could answer that question. So yes, land tax valuation is one of the, if persons will know that they're doing the land tax evaluation updates now, and all of that is now being done digitally, which is something that was done under the digital transformation team. So yes, we are across all ministries. I may not know the intricate details of every single thing that's going on in every single ministry, but my team does have that information. And if there is a specific question that needs to be asked, it certainly can be answered and asked in the proper way.
Any further supplementaries? None. Thank you both. Thank everyone for the participation. The next statement comes from the second statement, also from you, Minister Cabinet. This time it's MP Smith again who would like to put a question to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, in the update that the Honorable Minister gave on the electoral reform, he mentioned that there are 4 pillars that are being considered: voter registration, election day processes, campaign and election finance, and governance. And my question is, why has absentee voting been dropped from the electoral reform pillars or priorities?
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, absentee balloting has not. While I do realize in some people's mind, electoral reform is only about absentee balloting, it is actually covered under voter access and registration.
Supplementary?
No, thank you.
Minister, you also have questions from other members. MP Dakuda, would you like to put your question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Honorable Minister inform us if additional resources are required or will be required or have already been obtained to assist in this reform project? Thank you.
I guess the answer is yes to both questions he asked in one question.
Supplementary?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the minister inform this House of the details of those resources? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, we have additional funding that was allocated during the midterm supplemental, which was already articulated in this House back then. So it's in the public domain what those funds were going to be used for. We've utilized that to organize town hall meetings to actually have discussions with overseas experts, as we talked about in the statement. We'll also be using that for the necessary research There are some other things that we have talked about in terms of going outside of the ministry to request expert advice that because we're still in discussions with various people, I don't want to actually talk about who exactly those are. But as I said, I will continue to provide updates to this house as we move forward with electoral reform.
Further sub or second question? None? Okay. Minister, one further. No, this is the next one. Right? I'm jumped on. It's actually the next statement. That's it for you, Minister. Thank you. The next statement, Minister of Health. The opposition leader would like to put questions to you.
Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Speaker. With the Honorable Minister, this is a very good initiative, and I think everybody here will be supportive of it. Just wondering if the Honorable Minister could let us know whether has been any thoughts of making this mandatory for any professionals that are working with youth.
Minister?
Mr. Speaker, at this point, there has not been any consideration with respect to making this mandatory. I appreciate the honorable member's sentiments as it relates to the importance of this initiative, and we're encouraged by the fact that we will continue to offer it. But insofar as making it a mandatory thing, I think at this point it's probably more beneficial if we can get buy-in from the community members as opposed to making it an ultimate requirement. But I thank the honorable member for his question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Second question.
Yes.
Would the Honorable Minister be able to provide whether there will be any reporting that is necessary for people that have taken this certificate and then are referring people? Will there be any reporting mechanism that's necessary for that referral process?
Mr. Speaker, if I understand the honorable member's question, I'll answer it twofold. One is, in addition to individuals that take this course, they will receive a certificate of acknowledgement, but we certainly will keep data to see whether or not and to whom the what services are being we will do our best to keep data as it relates to the referrals that come through this process insofar as who the referrals are going to, so that we can continue to monitor that. It may be a little bit of a challenge because, again, it is a volunteer situation, but we will do the best that we can to monitor the types of referrals that are being reached as a result of this particular engagement.
Supplementary?
No, final question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Considering that if this initiative works the way I think all of us would want it to work, there is a potential that there's an increase in referrals. Could the Honorable Minister let us know whether the capacity is available for the services that are going to be needed if these referrals increase?
Thank the honorable member for that question. Colleagues will recall that last year in the midterm budget, we received an extra $2.29 million as confirmation of this government's initiative and interest in ensuring that we address mental health, particularly as it relates to young people. We've known that there has been an increase, regrettably, since COVID, and 1 in 4 individuals will suffer a mental health episode during their lifetime. So as such, we have committed to ensuring that we have the resources available. Part of that $2.9 million, Mr. Speaker, is going to provide more community outreach and services. For example, grants have been awarded to the group MASK, the Family Center, as well as the Women's Resource Center to ensure that there is availability in the community for those persons who require mental health services.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Yes, supplementary. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that response. Just for information purposes, if the minister can just let the community know that there will be services available that will be without cost for the young people that get referred, because I think it's important that we let people know that not only should we break down the stigma, there's not going to be a cost that's going to impact them.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, those communications are ongoing, and in fact, it will be discussed further on Wednesday when we do the budget with respect to health. But I thank the honorable member for that.
No further questions. Minister, Cabinet? My fault. I knew it was another question. I'd actually put the MP King had a question. I'd actually put it down under health, but it is for you. They just reminded me of that. We just have him put his question now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Regarding electoral reform, the working group, are there going to be experts on that, in that working group, a constitutional law expert, AML, ATF compliance specialist, cybersecurity expert, and a representative from the Parliamentary Registry's Office?
Mr. Speaker, I'll refer to my statement. The ministry has drafted the terms of reference for electoral reform working group, which is not yet established. Preparations include selecting diverse members to ensure a balanced group with relevant expertise.
Supplementary. Supplementary or new question?
New question, Mr. Speaker. Has a formal risk assessment been conducted regarding foreign interference, system integrity, compliant and compromise, and data breaches in consideration of the implementation of electoral reform, absentee voting, et cetera? Thank you. That's my final question.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will refer to my statement again. We have continued discussion with subject matter experts on absentee and electronic overseas voting solutions, focusing on what is secure, verifiable, and workable in Bermuda. It is not about adapting technology for its own sake, but about understanding options, understanding risks, and ensuring that any potential model maintains integrity and public trust.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the findings of the cybersecurity breach, September 20th, 2023, form part of the risk assessment?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I understand where the member is trying to go, not understanding why. One thing has nothing to do with the other. But as I said, I can read my statement again on what's going to happen if he's not clear.
Supplementary or third question?
Supplementary. Understanding that there was a cybersecurity breach in September 20th, 2023, and the findings have not been made known to the public or members of this honorable House. At this juncture, we don't know what the risks are that were posed. And if we're talking about electoral reform that is inclusive of electronic balloting, et cetera, that ought to form part of the risk assessment in terms of how we're going to manage the sensitive information, understanding that this can affect the outcome of elections in this country. So I would think that that would be necessary, and I would hope that that would be taken into consideration. That's the reason why I asked that question. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking for a question to put to him out of that. That was a statement. You need a question out of it.
I'm fine with what I've just done. Thank you.
In future, if it's not a question, you can't put it. I was giving you the leeway expecting the question to come out at the end of it.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that he withdraw that.
The point is, and let me just use this opportunity. If you remember the workshop that we had recently, one of the topics were own questions. And when we rise on the question period, it should be a question formulated right from the beginning. And rather than trying to build to the question, have your question ready to go from the beginning. The next statement has questions, is the statement for Junior Minister of Justice. Junior Minister, MP Pearman has questions.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to the listening public. Thank you very much to the Honorable Junior Minister of Legal Affairs who presented a statement conclusion on the public consultation on jury reform this morning. I know that he gave in his statement the consultation. Paget Parish Council I attended and I listened carefully. And my question is this. During that consultation, Junior Minister, and as said in your statement, you talked about the certain data you collected. To what extent is the proposal that's going to go to Cabinet data driven? Thank you.
Junior Minister.
Thank you, MP Pearman, for your question. Mr. Speaker, if I refer to in my statement, it says that if you lead, can I read, Mr.
Sure.
Speaker?
Go right ahead.
It says the consultation phase is now closed. The next step is for the ministry to gather and synthesize the comprehensive feedback received from all segments of the community, including all stakeholders. That analysis will inform the development of a clear policy position for consideration and approval by cabinet. So to his answer, all information will be carefully thought through and decided before it becomes part of the policy. I hope that answers your question, MP Pyramid.
Supplementary?
Supplementary, yep.
Thank you. Of the material you've just referred to, how much data do we actually have on the length of jury sittings?
Mr. Speaker, I will have to refer to the substantive minister for that answer and look to get that back to MP Pyramid at the next possible availability.
Thank you for that answer.
Supplementary and new
Second supplementary.
question. Second,
Again, referring to the data that's been collected, how much data do we have on the shortfall of numbers from the potential jury pool?
Mr. Speaker, I will reiterate my previous response. We'll have to get that information from the substantive minister and provide that to the MP.
Again, I thank the junior minister for his answer. Moving to my second question.
now, yeah.
The junior minister identified 4 topics that were in the consideration, which will now form part of a policy paper going to cabinet. Is this policy paper going to cabinet a consultation, further consultation? Is it sort of like a green paper, or is it a more firm proposal like a white paper? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I will again have to refer to the substantive minister and provide the MP with an answer to that. Thank you.
I'm grateful for that answer.
Supplementary?
Supplementary. Likewise, will the policy paper, either green or white, be accompanied by any draft legislation?
Again, Mr. Speaker, I will refer to the substantive minister and provide those answers as soon as I can.
Grateful for that answer from the junior minister. Third question, Mr. Speaker.
Question, yeah.
This is about time frame. The statement referred to, quote, this coming out in the, quote, near future. And I'd be grateful to know if the junior minister is able to elaborate on that for the benefit of this honorable House and the listening public. Is near future perhaps the end of parliamentary session or the end of the year or early in the next year? Does the junior minister have a sense of time frame? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I will again have to refer to the substantive minister to get the correct time frame that we anticipated. Thank you.
Any further?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, junior minister.
Thank you. Members, that brings us to the end of the question period for today. And the next item on the order paper would be the congratulatory and obituary speeches. Any member, Minister? Minister Darrow.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start my obits with the unfortunate news of the passing of Mr. Sean Forbes from Banram Lane. Mr. Forbes is the son I'd like to associate Minister Weeks with these condolences. Mr. Forbes, as well as Ming as well, and MP Robin Tucker. Mr. Forbes is the son of a constituent, well, was a constituent of mine and the son of Miss Phyllis Forbes. Also, condolences to his siblings, Damon Forbes, Shane Forbes, and Summer Simmons. Mr. Forbes lived right on the edge of Pigs Field. And, that was his backyard, as I used to call it, literally. And any time the grass hadn't been cut for a number of weeks, or if there was some sketchy activity going on, or there was cars that were parked in the parking lot for far too long, Mr. Forbes would always send me an email. And it was not just good enough to respond to an email. He wanted me to come and meet with him, and so he can point out to me exactly what he has seen and offer suggestions on how the government could maintain a community field that literally was in his backyard and he was so proud of. So it was very shocking news to hear of his untimely passing, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like, if possible, a lot of condolences be sent to his family. And in the final time that I have left, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move to more positive news and congratulate the men's under 20 football team who are currently, and I'll associate the whole house with that. They're currently participating in the under 20 World Cup qualifiers in Costa Rica. They've had 2 games previously, Mr. Speaker. The first was a 2-2 draw versus Trinidad, and I'd like to congratulate the goal scorers, Mr. Jace Donowa and Mr. James Morrison, on that hard-fought draw. And on Saturday evening, we got a victory, 2-0 over St. Martin. Those of you that would have heard my statement last week know that the deputy prime minister for St. Martin was actually here in Bermuda. So I did promptly send her a message and said that she owed me some congratulations. And the goal scorers in that game were Zabi DeRosa and Kanaz Frey. So congratulations, and to the coach, Mr. Sequoia Robinson. And their final match is this afternoon, 4 p.m. Bermuda time, Mr. Speaker, against the host nation of Costa Rica. I wish them all the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And any other member? MP Ming, would you like your 33 minutes?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and listening audience. I'll just take 3 minutes, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, just take 3 minutes. That's all.
I was associated on Friday, but I wanted to just offer my comments to the family of, I call them Calabash all my life. So it's interesting to hear the government names when they come out as Eugene, but definitely I'm not in my league in terms of age, but we all call him Calabash. And so he will be a miss. He is remembered. Associate MP Cannoner with these comments, please. He definitely will be a miss. And those of us who are diehards and Georgia supporters know what it is that he brought to that in particular game at cup match time. So we definitely extend prayers and thoughts to his family. I also, on a happier note, would like to congratulate Lappers Club International for their Founders Week. I associate the entire house with that.
Yes,
For
please
those
do.
of you who know the history of Lappers Club, February 24th, 1949, a club opened that accepted each and anybody, no matter what your skin color was, your economic status, or anything like that. And today that mantra still stands with the Lappers Club. They celebrate their Founders Week every year, and it's a reminder for them of the principles of what the club was actually open for, and also as a guiding light for us to make sure that we are still building on that foundation. So they celebrated with the opening of their hall, newly renovated. I would encourage members to go and have a look, and also thank the government for its contribution in that. Minister Darrell came and he gave some comments at the time. I think he also mentioned becoming a member. I don't know, but yeah. But I would encourage you to visit and see, but also to engage yourselves in what Lappers Club actually does. I'm a diehard St. George's girl, you all know that, but I have taken a liking to understanding the history of Lappers Club and what it means to Bermuda during a time that really wasn't one of our best in terms of segregation, but it has prevailed, and 77 years later, it's still here doing what it needs to do within its community. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. MP Minister Reeks.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and
Morning.
listening audience. I'd like to start off my remarks with being associated with the congrats by the former speaker for Lappers Club International. They do have a rich history, and I too am a member, and I encourage anyone else to become a member because of the connection and what the role they played in our development over the years. Mr. Speaker, I would like to also say that I also rise to offer congratulations to the men and women across my uniformed services and community partners who continue to step forward in service to Bermuda. From Sensei Bobby Smith launching our free personal safety seminars to empower residents with practical skills, to the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service engaging our young people through 100 Men on Campus at BI. These efforts reflect a shared commitment to prevention, education, and community connection. That is what building a safer Bermuda looks like. So I say thank you to each of them for the work they do in our community. Also, Mr. Speaker, I would like to celebrate the recent graduates of the Department of Customs. These men and women are prepared to step up, protect our borders, and keep our island safe. So a special thank you to the collector, Mrs. Pearman, and all the trainers within the department for ensuring our newest officers are properly equipped for the duties now before them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. MP Swan. Yeah, you had 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I too would like to be associated with the condolences to Eugene Calabash Bogo, who I had the honor of playing cricket with when I was a member of the St. George's Cricket Club's second team back in the day when each club had two teams. Our skipper, Ricky Hutzel, was the vice captain of St. George's, both cup match and under Wendell Smith, and he led the second team. And players like Calabash, who loved playing cricket, would often play with the second team to get the eye ready for Sunday cricket as well. And it was I was very proud to when he actually was taken into cup match, because he was known also not only as a great bowler that can tie up the batsman, but also a good stopgap batsman. Could block and allow great batsmen on the other end to make a lot of runs, and he plodded along. So he would be sadly missed. And condolences to the whole Fogo and Bascom and Simmons family there from Wellington Back Road. That would have included the late member from this house, Mr. Kenneth Bascom, as well as his late mom, Miss Ada Fogo, and Candy Lee Fogo as well. On a happier note, I would like to recognize a couple of iconic tourist organizations. One celebrating 60 years this year. In 1956, the Pompano Beach Club was formed up in Sands, right next to Simmons's Beach, but some people would refer to next to Monroe Beach, but at Simmons's Beach, for persons like my mom who grew up in Whale Bay, on that Port Royal coastline there. They've served Bermuda admirably, and they are one of the leaders in sports tourism, having been proud to be located strategically next to Port Royal. They've made good use of that wonderful public location that the government of Bermuda built and still maintains to a very high standard. Also, I would like to recognize the proprietors of Wahoo, Alfred Conrad and Geza Wolf, who Alfred would have come to Wahoo from the St. George's Golf Club, where he was the proprietor, and during a time when I was connected with St. George's Golf Club, and carved out on Water Street a great restaurant with his good friend Geza, from persons would have known him from Flying Shaft way back when. And I believe they're now going to take an opportunity to play more golf themselves. And I'd also like to there's been great focus placed in the sport of scrambling, and acknowledge the exploits of the minister, who I believe was out there scrambling recently.
Thank you. MP Lester, you have your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to follow up on the vein of MP Swan, recognizing sitting MPs and ministers. Mr. Speaker, this past weekend on Saturday night, I must recognize, I believe, an historic event in Bermuda and maybe in the world, where the first time ever two sitting members of parliament competed in a competitive football match. This Saturday night in the Masters League, myself representing the Somerset Astros competed against PHC, which MP Lawrence Scott was their goalkeeper. And I believe this is the first time two sitting members in a competitive match. It was a knockout game. Unfortunately, PHC beat us 3-1. But I will recognize that MP Scott was the man of the match, because he made some saves that allowed his team to win. So I do just want to recognize that historic moment, two sitting MPs competing in a competitive football match, I believe, for the first time ever, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Can we assume his recovering this morning?
I think he's still recovering.
Would any other member wish to make a contribution? MP King.
Good morning again. I express my condolences to members of C10 constituency, Robert Lee, passed at age 87, Mary Zool, Michael Behrman, he passed at the age of 71. There's going to be a memorial service on March the 7th at 1 p.m. at the cathedral, and then a wake to follow at Behrman's Quarry. If many of you knew Michael, he was quite a character, and his legacy will live on, and his daughter is taking over the reins of the quarry. Jack Ward, 72, who was the first director of the Department of Conservation, died at 72. Adam Tavares succumbed to injuries as a result of a road traffic accident. And George Greenslade died at the ripe age of 93 on Wednesday of last week. On a happier note, Ralph Scott Jr. celebrated his 18th birthday this past Friday. He's the young Bermudian who received a basketball scholarship to the University of Tennessee, and he will be playing in the Allen Iverson basketball competition that runs from April the 29th to May 2nd this year. So congratulations goes out to him and his family. Thank you.
Is there any other member wish to make MP Tucker?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I just wanted to express condolences to the family of one of my constituents, Mrs. Rosalie Fall. Mrs. Fall was well into her 90s. She was a very well-known maternity ward nurse, and obviously in her 90s, she had retired quite some time ago. An absolutely lovely lady taken care of by several members in her neighborhood. But I also want to express condolences to the family of Robin Spencer Oscott and his daughter and associate Scott Pearman as well, MP Pearman, and also Minister. I will associate the whole house. I see a lot of fingers going up. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Is there any other member who should make a contribution? Opposition Whip.
Yes, thank you,
Down
Mr.
there.
Speaker, and good morning, everyone, once again. We're living in an interesting time, Mr. Speaker. Last night, I spent watching live feed of missiles in the sky over several countries, Lebanon, Israel, Iran, a few others. On behalf of the House, I'd like to, we need to send our condolences to all families that are losing, to see where an all-women's school, while they're in school, to be bombed is sad. It's very sad. And we're living in a time where we can actually watch this stuff live feed. I've never seen that many missiles before in the sky, watching the live feed last night, but it's quite scary. And so my heart goes out to all families, regardless of what nation they come from, that we are living in a time whereby we can't find a means to negotiate. Missiles have to make the decision for us. On a higher note, I just want to say that I want to congratulate Skyport Magic Mile. They had races at the stadium of young kids. And I want to congratulate Dorian Dash Spencer. Dorian Dash Spencer is my grandson, the youngest one. I don't typically get up to do this, but we don't have any runners in the family. We got footballers and cricketers, but I ain't seen a runner like this in a little while. This young man, 4 years old, wanted to know what's the prize for coming first before he even ran the race. So
Want to find out if
this, yeah. What's the prize, right? This guy took off, Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning, right up until the last 10 yards, and his school buddy passed him. You should have seen his face. But anyhow, I wanted to congratulate him. Out of the 64 4-year-olds, he had the second best timing of the 64 4-year-olds. And I do want to congratulate him because his old man's from St. George's, Ray Spencer. Of course, the St. George's folk know Ray Spencer and the family. And so I want to congratulate him, be a bit selfish today and congratulate my grandson, because I think we now have a run in the family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to make a contribution? Reverend Deal?
Yes. Good morning, Speaker, and to our listening audience. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Somerset Brigade Band on their 96th Music Festival, and I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, and I'll associate the entire House, in particular the MPs from Sands Parish. They had their 96th festival under the patronage of an incredible lady, Mrs. Myrtle Sally Parent Chief, and it was a wonderful evening. And I'd like to congratulate the first female bandmaster, Mrs. Sharon Rainika Brangman, on a wonderful concert, and especially as this is Women's History Month, we congratulate her for this feat and the outstanding job that she's doing as their leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Does any other member? Opposition leader?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like congratulations to go out to Reverend Terry Hassel, who associate MP Weeks and Pierman and also King. So on Saturday, he was made the minister for St. Mark's Church. It was a really great event. Huge family turnout for him. Looking forward to what he's going to be able to do with that church. Congratulations to him and to his wife, who is there to support him. I had a brief conversation with him about the things that he's looking forward to do in that community. So congratulations.
Thank you. Does any other member wish to make a contribution at this time? None other? Before we move on, I just want to add two congratulatory comments. One is to one of our colleagues who just actually took our seat, and just a moment before, I believe it's your MP Reverend Deal. Yes. I've been informed that today is your 35th wedding anniversary.
Yes, sir.
So just like to extend congratulations to you and your husband and wish you well for many, many more years to come. On another congratulatory remark, I just want to do this one for a few reasons. One, to show that us in the West End can still work with our friends in the East End, and that I've been sent a photograph of a renaming of one of the roadways in St. George's, and it's now named the Gina Swankson Way. And the reason I'm doing it, many of you wouldn't know, Gina was actually my classmate, and we were in the same year at Berkeley together back in started in 1970, going back a while. And it's just nice to see that she's been recognized in this way. I don't know who in St. George's was responsible for it, whether it's the St. George's community calling for it or the Works in Engineering saw fit to do it outright. But I just think it's a nice, I think it was a nice gesture to be done. And we all know, and particularly for our younger listening audience, Gina Swankson, not only was she Miss Bermuda in 1980, I think it was 1989. 1979. 1979. She was Miss Bermuda, and she went on to be Miss World. So, she was runner-up in Miss Universe as well. So for our younger audience who are listening, they may not know that that's a piece of history that we should never forget. That Bermuda always punches above his weight, and that's another occasion of why we punched above our weight. So congratulations to the St. George's community for doing it, and great recognition for Gina Swankson herself, and my congratulations go out to her. With that said, we'll now move on. The next item on the order paper this morning is matter of privilege. There are none. Personal explanations, there are none. Notice of motions for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance, there are none. Introduction of bills, there are none. Notice of motions, there are none. So now that takes us to the main item of the orders for the day of business that we came here for, and it's the resumption of the Committee of Supply for consideration of the estimates of revenues and expenditures for the year 2026-27. And the first item up this morning for the listening public. Once we go into the budget debate, it's done in the Committee of Supply, which means that the speaker will be out of the chamber and the proceedings will be handled by the panel of chairs. The first member of the chair this morning will be MP Ming. And once we go to that stage, it's an 8-hour period. The first item up this morning will be the Ministry of Justice, and they will take 4 hours. And I'm going to call on Premier to move us there, and then I'll call on MP Ming to take the chair and take us into committee. Premier?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House to now resume in Committee of Supply to consider the estimates of revenue and expenditure for fiscal year 2026-2027.
Are there any objections to that? There are none. May I call on MP Ming to come and assume the chair and take the House into committee?
Honorable members, we are now in Committee of Supply for further consideration of the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 2025-2026. The heads being debated today are, and I'll just read the the Attorney General's Chambers and the Ministry of Justice. The heads being debated today are 87, 03, 25, and 74. I call on the minister in charge to proceed. In this instance, I'm sorry, I call on the junior minister to proceed. Junior Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To initiate consideration of the heads, Madam Chair, I am moving the following heads: 87, Ministry of Justice Headquarters; 03, Judicial Department; 25, Department of Corrections; and 74, Department of Court Services, be now taken under consideration.
It has been moved that heads 87, 03, 25, and 74 be approved. Is there any objection to that motion? No objection, agreed to. Junior Minister, you may start.
Madam Chair, I am pleased to present the budget brief for the Ministry of Justice Headquarters. The mission statement and department objectives for the Ministry of Justice Headquarters begin on page B80 of the estimates book. The ministry will plan and prioritize its operational programs and activities to achieve tangible outcomes within the upcoming financial year. All resources will be utilized to enhance deliverables whilst remaining responsible with the fiscal allocation. Current expenditure. The Ministry of Justice current expenditure allocation commences on pages B79 to B83 of the approved estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 26-27, the budget book. The total current expenditure is estimated to be $63,241,000 for 26-27 and represents an increase of $5,501,000 or 10% higher than the prior year's estimate of 25-26. This change is due primarily to an increase in salaries, legal, and consultancy costs. Madam Chair, overall and expenditure allocations to the ministry by departments are as follows. The Ministry of Justice Headquarters, $8,220,000. The Judicial Department, $11,023,000. Attorney General's Chambers, $7,242,000. Department of Corrections, $26,882,000. Department of Court Services, $5,471,000. And Department of Public Prosecutions, $4,403,000. The mission statement: to uphold the rule of law and deliver fair, transparent, and accessible justice that protects rights, empowers people, and strengthens trust in Bermuda's legal system. Department objectives: 1. To effectively implement government's justice and legal policy priorities under the direction of the minister, ensuring alignment with Bermuda's strategic goals and measurable delivery outcomes. 2. To deliver efficient, transparent, and people-centered legal and justice services that improve access, responsiveness, and confidence in the justice service. 3. To uphold Bermuda's legislative and regulatory framework for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing, effectively identifying, preventing, and mitigating risks to protect the integrity of Bermuda's financial system and its global reputation. And 4. To strengthen partnerships with justice stakeholders, the legal fraternity, civil society, and international counterparts to promote trust, transparency, and shared responsibility for justice outcomes. Revenue overview. The only department under this ministry's portfolio whose mandates directly entail generating revenue is the Judicial Department. The Judicial Department's revenue stream is projected to yield a total of $5,556,000. This amounts to $745,000, or 15% more than the 25-26 original estimates. This growth is driven primarily by increased court fees, parking fines, and civil fees. I will now present the budget for the Ministry of Justice headquarters, along with the business units under its purview. The budgets for individual department heads within this ministry will be covered separately in the respective budget briefs. Expenditure overview. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, a total of $8,220,000 has been allocated to the Ministry of Justice headquarters, which represents a $1,465,000 or 22% increase from the previous year and constitutes 13% of the budget allocated for the ministry as a whole. The Ministry of Justice headquarters is subdivided into 8 programs or business units as follows: 97000 Administration, 97010 Financial Intelligence Agency, a grantee, 97030 Legal Aid Office, 97050 Parole Board, 97060 Treatment of Offenders Board, 97070 Justice Protection Program, 97080 Financial Sanctions Implementation Unit, and 97100 the Law Reform Commission. Madam Chair, each business unit is addressed in turn below as follows. Business Unit 9700 Administration, 2025-26 versus 2026-27. The original estimate for 25-26 was $1,322,000. The estimate for 26-27, $1,880,000, which represents an increase of $558,000 or 42%. This administration business unit provides for the administrative and personnel costs associated with the daily operation of the ministry headquarters, for which a total of $1,880,000 has been allocated. This represents a notable increase of $558,000 or 42% compared to the original estimates of 25-26, driven by increased expenditure on salaries, consultant and contractor services, travel costs, and criminal injury compensation. Legal Aid Office, Business Unit 97030, 2025-26 versus 2026-27. The original estimate for 25-26, $2,223,000. The estimate for 26-27, $2,686,000, which represents an increase of $463,000 or 21%. Madam Chair,
The legal aid office purpose is to ensure that legal advice and representation is readily available to those who need it most and who, because of limited financial means, would otherwise be unable to secure access to justice. The office's mission statement is to provide high-quality legal representation to those who qualify for assistance under the Legal Aid Act 1980. The office fulfills this role by providing clients who qualify for the scheme with quality professional legal services in a timely and efficient manner. Madam Chair, the Legal Aid Scheme is administered by the Legal Aid Committee under the authority of the Legal Aid Act 1980. For 26-27, its budget allocation is $2,668,000. This is a $463 or 21% increase from the 25-26 original estimate allocation. This increase is mainly due to salaries, legal service, grants, and contributions. $1,600,000 or 60% is allocated to salaries for administrative, legal aid staff, and consultants' fees. $750,000 or 28% covers external legal services, while the remaining $336,000 or 12% funds administrative expenses, including rent, operational costs, committee fees, professional indemnity insurance, and bar association dues. Madam Chair, the Legal Aid Office delivers two key services. The administrative team supports applicants in completing legal aid forms and conducts financial means assessments under the Legal Aid Act 1980 before submitting applications to the Legal Aid Committee for their consideration. Once decisions are made by the committee, the team notifies applicants and counsel and issues legal aid certificates. The accounts officer processes all legal and expert service invoices received, ensuring they are reviewed, taxed, and approved by the committee prior to payment. The current legal team, when it's at its full complement, consists of 2 junior counsel, 2 legal aid counsel, a senior legal aid counsel, and the legal aid paralegal. The Legal Aid Committee assigns in-house counsel to represent persons who are granted legal aid certificates by the committee unless there is a potential conflict or, for some other reason, external counsel must be assigned. This year, the Legal Aid Office will undergo a full review as well as develop a strategic plan aimed at improving efficiency and ensuring continued access to justice for all Bermudians. The performance measures for the Legal Aid Office 25-26 were: 1, to process and grant legal aid certificates to qualified applicants within 7 days of receiving their completed applications and supporting documents. 2, to process and grant temporary legal certificates in urgent situations within 24 hours. 3, to assign 75% of new cases to in-house legal aid counsel. And 4, to grant approximately 140 new legal aid certificates. Madam Chair, I am pleased to report that the Legal Aid Office met and in most cases exceeded these performance goals for the fiscal year 25-26. A key performance goal for 26-27 will be to assign 85% of new legal aid certificates to in-house counsel. This will be challenging, but with the imminent relocation of the Legal Aid Office to a larger, more suitable space, it is anticipated that the recruitment of more permanent in-house counsel and more modern systems will enable the Legal Aid Office to meet this goal. The larger space will allow for the recruitment of more legal aid counsel to manage cases in-house, which will result in cost savings and broader public access to justice. Madam Chair, the number of new legal aid certificates granted each year fluctuates due to unpredictable social, economic, and other factors. In 25-26, 268 applications were processed, which was more than the projected 225. Of those applicants, 154 were qualified and granted certificates. Decisions on 18 applications remain pending further information. Overall, performance indicators showed increases in applications processed and certificates granted compared to the previous year, along with a reduction in deferred applications. Operating expenses.
For the current fiscal year, Madam Chair, expenses incurred excluding salaries were as follows: legal fees for external counsel, training and consultant services of $917,000, and telephone and courier expenses of $8,100. $19,000 was spent on membership fees, board and committee fees. $244,000 was apportioned for insurance, training, rent, and maintenance. $13,700 was allocated for cleaning. $44,600 was allocated for office supplies, printing, books, and professional law periodicals. Legal services. Madam Chair, between the period of April 1st, 2025 and 31st of March, 2026, the Legal Aid Office processed a total of 268 new applications. 196 were criminal matters, 43 civil matters, and 29 matrimonial matters. Out of the 268 new applications for funding, 154 matters were approved, 96 were declined, and 18 were deferred. The work of in-house legal aid counsel. Individual client cases managed by in-house counsel generated cost savings of approximately $1,225,000 in legal fees, which would otherwise have been paid to external counsel. Madam Chair, the Legal Aid Office represented clients who were granted legal aid certificates with respect to a broad range of legal matters over the past year, including family court matters, civil claims such as employment and personal injury, landlord and tenant disputes, human rights claims, constitutional applications, and criminal trial and appeal matters. 2 junior counsel are employed in-house, and over the past year, both have demonstrated growth and skill development in family and criminal law cases. The Legal Aid Committee, Madam Chair, recognizes that for some members of our community faced not only with financial challenges, but also with cognitive or mental health challenges, representation by in-house counsel is necessary to ensure their voices are heard. In these circumstances, legal aid certificates are granted at the discretion of the committee when it is in the interest of justice. In addition to clients charged with criminal offenses, the Legal Aid Office continues to represent individuals who are granted certificates in relation to complex and emotionally difficult cases involving child custody, access, and maintenance. Madam Chair, cost savings to the public will also realized through the strategic use of legal aid counsel to assist individuals who are before the court and require counsel in circumstances where individual certificates are not practical, such as in-house legal aid counsel ensured that members of the public receive quality representation and timely access to justice by appearing as duty counsel for individuals in many courts, thereby safeguarding the rights of individuals and ensuring that cases are dealt with fairly and expeditiously by the courts. Also, the Legal Aid Office provided counsel each week to assist individuals appearing in the mental health treatment court, drug treatment court, DUI court, and the juvenile court. Effective counsel in these courts is critical to the success of individuals appearing before them. Individuals and the judiciary rely on counsel to provide legal and moral guidance as they work to address root causes. The Legal Aid Office also made counsel available 24 hours a day, 7 days each week to advise and assist all persons arrested and detained by the police over the past year, including attending at the police station when necessary to assist adults and young people during police interviews in serious matters. The Legal Aid Office ensured that no one who appeared in plea court was required to enter a plea or otherwise compromise their legal rights without the advice and assistance of legal counsel. Madam Chair, there continued to be great demand for legal aid counsel in the juvenile court to represent young people being tried for serious matters. Legal aid counsel appeared as duty counsel for the juvenile court every week and are assigned to represent young people who are ultimately granted legal aid certificates by the committee. Child safeguarding provisions, which protect the rights of children and ensure their voices are heard in all types of cases before the courts, have resulted in legal aid counsel frequently being called upon to assist children who come before the courts as witnesses, victims, and the subject of family court litigation regarding their care and custody. Internally, Madam Chair, the office continues to build a strong team as the administrative staff and counsel work to meet their shared goal of providing excellent legal representation and broad public access to justice. Together, the team has developed effective solutions to challenges presented over the past year. External counsel. Madam Chair, external legal fees remain the largest area of expenditure for the Legal Aid Office, except for salaries, and continue to be challenging to accurately predict. Last year, the legal fees paid to external counsel were higher than predicted for several reasons, including the following. There was an increase in the rate of murder and other serious violent crimes, as well as conspiracies to import firearms, ammunition, and illegal drugs into Bermuda. Multiple defendants were charged and tried together in many serious cases. Each defendant is entitled to independent counsel who is free from any potential conflict of interest. In most cases, therefore, in-house legal aid counsel is only able to represent one defendant, whilst the other 2, 3, or more co-defendants who may all qualify for legal aid must be represented by external counsel. Although the Legal Aid Committee requires brief fee proposals from counsel to ensure fees are carefully managed, strictly necessary and reasonable, it is difficult to predict when trials will occur and whether unanticipated preparation, legal research, and court appearances may be made necessary by any number of factors outside of the control of counsel. In the past fiscal year, external counsel submitted claims for serious trials and appeals that had been budgeted for and completed in prior years, which also presents a challenge for the accurate prediction of external legal fees within any given fiscal year. The past fiscal year included payment of fees to external counsel for retrials, multi-defendant criminal trials, and other types of complex litigation. Madam Chair, training and development. Training and development, along with succession planning, are amongst the most important objectives of the Legal Aid Office over the next year. As the number of experienced barristers who are willing and able to represent legal aid clients is expected to continue to decrease over the coming years, it is imperative that we train and develop the next generation of Bermudian barristers to ensure that our courts continue to operate efficiently and that all persons, regardless of wealth, have access to justice. The Legal Aid Office is an ideal training ground for pupils and junior counsel, both due to the diversity of legal work and the opportunity to assist and learn from senior barristers engaged in complex litigation before our courts and tribunals. The Legal Aid Office will play an integral role in facilitating the ministry's goal to train and retain qualified Bermudians for legal profession, especially for the criminal defense bar. Recruitment was successful last year in bringing on board a second more senior barrister and a junior barrister as legal aid counsel. Further development and growth is anticipated as we remain dedicated to ensuring access to justice for all Bermudians into the future. Madam Chair, we will, over the coming fiscal year, continue to make crucial investments in our legal aid plan, whilst always keeping under review our delivery model, best practices, and potential amendments to the Legal Aid Act, which reflect the collective commitment to justice, high service standard, and the essential development and retention of first-rate Bermudian barristers. Parole Board Business Unit 97050, 2025-26 versus 2026-27. The original estimate for 25-26, $120,000. The estimate for 26-27, $120,000, which represents a 0% dollar value or 0% increase. Madam Chair, the Parole Board has been allocated a budget of $120,000. The allocation under this business unit is designated for board fees and board training programs as we seek to modernize our approach to parole. The Parole Board serves an important role in facilitating the reentry of offenders into society. The members of the board, which include experts in law, psychology, and institutional aftercare,
are charged with releasing men and women who are eligible by virtue of their certain established criteria to serve the remainder of their sentence under community supervision. With careful thought and deliberation, the parole board implements conditions that will provide the highest likelihood of applicants becoming law-abiding citizens and equipping themselves for successful reintegration. On average, Madam Chair, the board meets 3 to 4 times per month and works collaboratively with other partner agencies of the justice system, including court services, our correction facilities, rehabilitation program providers, and aftercare professionals to identify appropriate ways to achieve goals of reducing recidivism, preventing crime, and protecting society. In 2025, the board conducted a comprehensive review of 180 cases. Treatment of Offenders Board, Business Unit 97060, 2025-26 versus 2026-27. The original estimate for 25-26, $98,000. The estimate for 26-27, $104,000, which is a $6,000 or 6% increase. The Treatment of Offenders Board, which has recently been transferred to the Ministry of Justice, has been allocated a total budget of $104,000. Of this amount, $73,000 is designated for the salary of an administrative assistant, while $30,000 is allocated for board fees. The Treatment of Offenders Board includes persons who possess expertise in medicine, psychology, law, and/or education. The board meets in person twice per month, alternating between Westgate and the co-ed Farm Right Living House facilities. Every month, 2 members of the board attend rota visits at the facilities to engage with inmates and compile reports based on their findings. The board acts as a fundamental cornerstone of our justice system, ensuring inmates' voices are heard and our correction systems remain focused on rehabilitative and restorative justice principles over mere detention. Justice Protection Program, Business Unit 97070, 2025-26 versus 26-27. Take a brief water break, Madam Chair.
Junior Minister, I'll just update the public while you take your break. We are currently on the Committee of Supply, and the heads we are reviewing today are 87, 03, 25, 74, and the ministry is the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The original estimate for 25-26 is $320,000. The estimate for 26-27 is $320,000, which represents a $0 and 0% increase. The Justice Protection Program has been allocated a budget of $320,000 for the fiscal year 26-27, which represents no increase from the prior year. The Justice Protection Program, Madam Chair, is operated pursuant to the Justice Protection Act 2010. The program provides protection and relocation services for critical prosecution witnesses who meet the legislative requirements for entry into the program. Specific details are protected from public disclosure under the Justice Protection Act 2010 and as contained in the Public Access to Information Act 2010. Thus, we proceed with great caution with representing figures and data which could be combined with other information to inadvertently identify program participants, thereby compromising the program's effectiveness and security. Madam Chair, there were 2 participants at the start of the 25-26 fiscal year. Program participants are afforded protection whilst they provide evidence in high-profile or high-risk cases for the courts. In the 15 years since the program has been in existence, there have been 42 participants, which represented 60 people who were protected in total. The average duration or enrollment in the program for protection or assistance is 3 years. Over the 15 years of the program's existence, a total of 11 additional applications were considered but were denied entry to the program, as the assessed risks were sufficiently addressed by assistance that was already provided or available to those individuals. Madam Chair, by way of example,
Payments made under the program are vetted and structured to meet a participant's reasonable living expenses, including, where appropriate, living expenses of his or her accompanying family members. Payments are also made for other reasonable financial assistance, as well as for the purpose of meeting costs associated with relocation and settlement. This can often include providing assistance to the participant as they seek and secure employment or as they access education and healthcare. Other assistance can be provided with a view to ensuring that the participant becomes self-sufficient to sustain their needs. Madam Chair, the program's effectiveness is demonstrated by the fact that over 15 years, there have been 32 trials where the participants have testified. Convictions were obtained in all but 4 of these cases. This amounts to an 87.5% conviction rate for cases where a witness in the Witness Protection Program gave evidence. The program is indispensable to the administration of justice, the rule of law, and wider public safety, as evidenced by the marked increase in successful prosecution, particularly in gang-related and violent offender cases. The Justice Protection Program's results compare favorably with equivalent programs in other jurisdictions. Madam Chair, looking ahead to fiscal year 26-27, the work of this program will continue within its budgetary allocation to protect the privacy and locations of the participant witnesses in the program towards the successful prosecution of some of the most heinous crimes in our jurisdiction. Financial Sanctions Implementation Unit, Business Unit 97080, 2025-26 versus 26-27. The original estimate for 25-26, $376,000, and the estimate for 26-27, $409,000, which represents a $33,000 or 9% increase. Madam Chair, the Financial Sanctions Implementation Unit, or FSIU, plays a critical role in upholding Bermuda's reputation as a cooperative jurisdiction with a strong and effective sanctions regime. Its responsibilities include implementing and monitoring compliance with financial and trade sanctions to safeguard the integrity of Bermuda's financial system and protect national economic interests. The FSIU also advises the Minister of Justice on broader issues related to anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, and counter-proliferation. For fiscal year 26-27, the FSIU's budget allocation is $409,000. This is an increase of 33 or 9% for the estimate allocation for 25-26 fiscal year. 93% of the FSIU's budget is allocated for salaries. The remaining 7% is allocated for training, travel, office supplies, telephone expenses, and membership fees for its 2 consuls. Staff. Madam Chair, the FSIU is comprised of 2 posts, the head of the FSIU and 1 legal counsel. The FSIU team is responsible for providing legal advice and technical support to the Minister of Justice and carrying out functions delegated to the Minister from the Governor, implementing sanctions as well as trade sanctions, including bringing relevant sanctions overseas territories orders and consul into force in Bermuda, reviewing license applications in respect of the various sanctions regimes and enforcing the same, maintaining a web-based repository of sanction notices in effect in Bermuda, public outreach to industry, supervisors, and government agencies to enhance awareness on sanctions obligations, including proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, liaising with Government House and UK authorities on sanction matters, and assisting Ministry of Justice headquarters and with Bermuda's AML and ATF global obligations. Under the international sanctions framework, Madam Chair, His Excellency the Governor is Bermuda's competent authority and holds ultimate responsibility for sanctions implementation as outlined in the applicable overseas territories orders under the International Sanctions Act 2003 and the International Sanctions Regulation 2013. Since September 2018, certain functions have been delegated to the Minister of Justice under the International Sanctions Delegation of Governor's Powers Notice 2018. Bermuda's sanctions regime must be up to date, fully implemented, and effective for specific purposes of each financial sanction. As an overseas territory, Bermuda's sanctions regime mirrors those sanctions which are implemented in the United Kingdom. To meet international obligations, the FSRU ensures that all applicable overseas territories orders that detail new sanctions or amendments to existing sanctions regimes are expeditiously brought into force in Bermuda. All updates to Bermuda sanctions regimes are listed in Schedule 1 of the International Sanctions Regulations 2013. Madam Chair, under the Bermuda Sanctions Framework, the Minister of Justice has the power to obtain evidence and information by taking such steps as considered appropriate to cooperate with any international investigation relating to the funds, economic resources, or financial transactions of a designated person, to issue and revoke licenses authorizing activity that would otherwise be prohibited under the overseas territories orders with the consent of the Secretary of State. A license issued by the minister can be varied or revoked at any time with the consent of the UK Secretary of State. To serve as a repository to which a relevant institution reports or informs if it credits a frozen account pursuant to an order. To authorize persons with powers to search and investigate suspected ships, aircrafts, vehicles, and to specify by regulations in the currency of the territory the amount which is to be taken as equivalent to sums expressed in sterling in the relevant order. Output measures. Madam Chair, applications under the Russia sanctions regime continues to be the prominent regime for which the license applications are submitted to the FSRU. In 2025-26, the Minister of Justice issued 3 general licenses, i.e. GLs. The GL for legal fees was reissued twice under the Russia sanctions regime, Bermuda General License 2024/09 GL and Bermuda GL 2025/01 GL. This GL permits payment for legal services provided to a designated person under the Russia or Belarus regimes, allowing legal firms to receive payment from or on behalf of designated persons without requiring a specific license, provided the terms of the general license are met. These general licenses were issued in January and June 2025, respectively. And the oil price cap, OPC GL 2025/03 GL, was reissued under the Russia sanctions regime. It permits the supply or delivery of Russian oil and oil products by ship, as well as provisions of associated services subject to the price cap terms being met. Outreach. Madam Chair, the FSRU continues to ensure the sanctions webpage of the government portal is updated within 24 hours of receiving updated notifications from the UK government. These updates are required to notify the public of additions or delistings to the various sanctions regime in force in Bermuda. Thus, upon notification from the Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Office and HM Treasury's Office of Financial Sanctions Implementation, the FSRU updates the web page and notifies supervisors to immediately advise their supervised entities of the changes. Madam Chair, in August 2025, the FSRU transitioned from an Outlook mailing list-based sanctions notification system to a subscription-based sanctions notification service. Under the new system, persons may subscribe directly via a web link. This enhanced subscription model supports more timely, consistent, and effective compliance with Bermuda's sanctions obligations. Persons can subscribe to the FSRU Bermuda Sanctions Alert subscription service by visiting the International Sanctions Measures webpage of the government portal at https://www.gov.bm/international-sanctions-alert. measures. Madam Chair, the FSIU will continue its outreach to ministries, departments, and industry to raise awareness of sanctions obligations. During the reporting period, outreach was provided to the Customs Department. The FSIU is also developing a virtual tool to help entities better understand their obligations, regularly responds to queries from both industry stakeholders and government agencies seeking guidance. The FSIU also continues to work closely with UK counterpart authorities, overseas territories counterparts, and domestic operational partners to ensure a consistent approach is used in the effective implementation of targeted financial sanctions and trade sanctions in Bermuda. Law Reform Commission, Business Unit 97100, 2025-26 versus 26-27. The original estimate for 25-26 was $171,000. The estimate for 26-27, $451,000, which represents a $280,000 or 164% increase. Madam Chair, the Law Reform Commission has been allocated a budget of $451,000 for fiscal year 26-27, which represents a $280,000 or 164% increase from 25-26 estimates. This increase is mainly attributable to the salaries of staff, additional staff to support the Office of Law Reform, namely Research and Policy Officer, Parliamentary Counsel, and Administrative Assistant. The Law Reform Commission, Madam Chair, is an independent public body established by statute, namely the Law Reform Commission Act 2009. The functions of the commission are to study and keep under review the laws of Bermuda with a view to the systemic development and reform. Bermuda's first law reform commissioners were appointed in July 2019, and a new cohort is currently under consideration. The Ministry of Justice is the sponsoring ministry for the Law Reform Commission and has historically absorbed the commission's costs within its headquarters' annual budget allocation. The commission is transitioning to a hybrid model in which independent commissioners are supported by a fully staffed Office of Law Reform. This transition includes comprehensive training for both incoming commissioners and support staff to ensure they are well equipped for their roles. Oversight will be provided by the Law Reform Policy and Strategy Council and the Permanent Secretary. Every effort will be made within the budget allocation to support the Commission's mandate to modernize Bermuda's laws and institutions. Madam Chair, for 26-27, administrative and operational costs will continue to be supported through the shared services of a ministry headquarters administrator and careful use of headquarters budget allocations. However, steps will be taken to review and renew roles and responsibilities to maintain Bermuda's strong legal reputation and ensure our laws remain current and aligned with Commonwealth and global standards. Madam Chair, the Ministry of Justice 2026-27 budget reflects more than a financial statement. It embodies our shared commitment to fiscal responsibility and the stewardship of public resources. Our dedicated public officers will continue to advance fair and equitable access to justice through legal services, policy, and legislation that upholds the rule of law and supports progress for the people of Bermuda. I am confident that the ministry will maintain high-quality service delivery in 26-27, driven by sustainable programs and reforms that strengthen Bermuda's reputation for effective self-governance and respect for the rule of law. Madam Chair, grants. Financial Intelligence Unit, Business Unit 9701, 2025-26 versus 26-27. The original estimate for 25-26, $2,125,000. The estimate for 26-27, $2,250,000, which represents an increase of $125,000 or 6%. The budget allocation for grants for fiscal year 26-27 is found at page C17 of the approved estimates of revenue and expenditure for fiscal year 26-27 budget book. We highlight $202,250,000 has been allocated. This represents an increase of $125,000 or 6% from the fiscal year 25-26. Madam Chair, in line with the government's commitment to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing, the Financial Intelligence Agency, FIA, was established under the Financial Intelligence Agency Act 2007. The FIA is an independent agency authorized to receive, store, analyze, and disseminate financial intelligence relating to suspected money laundering and terrorist financing activities, primarily received in the form of suspicious activity reports, SARs, and suspicious transaction reports, STRs. The agency is empowered to share intelligence with the Bermuda Police Service, foreign intelligence counterparts, and other relevant domestic authorities. Madam Chair, for the 26-27 fiscal year, the FIA was allocated $202,250,000, consistent with the previous year's budget. In accordance with its statutory obligations, the FIA submitted quarterly expenditure reports and its audited annual report to the Minister of Justice. The FIA remains steadfast in its efforts to counter terrorist financing, money laundering, and the financing of proliferation, working diligently to protect Bermuda's financial integrity and international reputation. Training and capacity building. Madam Chair, in 25-26, the FIA continued to enhance its capabilities through targeted training. Staff participated in virtual webinars and courses on topics including sanctions, virtual assets, fraud, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing, hosted by leading institutions such as the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, the Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists, the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, and the Basel Institute on Governance. In addition, the FIA enhances analytical and technical capabilities through the upgrade and stabilization of the Go AML reporting platform and the procurement of advanced analytical tools. Highlights from 25-26. The FIA contributed significantly to the domestic and international fight against financial crime efforts. Key achievements included contributions to the national money laundering, terrorist financing, proliferation financing, and legal persons and arrangements risk assessments, as well as sectoral and new product risk assessments. Ongoing participation in national anti-money laundering committee working groups and other cross-agency initiatives, notably the co-chairing of the operational working group. Attendance at the July 2025 Egmont plenary and the ongoing participation in 3 key Egmont projects. Attendance at the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force plenary and working group meetings in May 2025 and November 2025, where the director of the FIA was appointed the co-chair of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force Risk, Trans, and Methods Working Group. Statistics. In 2025, the reporting entities continued to file suspicious activity reports and suspicious transaction reports to the FIA. This year, the agency received a total of 1,297 SAR and STR reports. Among these, report types included 429 SARs, 711 STRs, 7 CSARs, and 150 CSTRs incoming reports. CSARs and CSTRs are the FIA's recently created consent-related SAR or STR reporting form. Throughout 2025, the FIA conducted analysis and issued disclosure to local law enforcement, competent agencies, and overseas financial intelligence units. In support of his work, the agency issued 41 information requests to Egmont FIUs and 15 to local counterparts. Additionally, using its authority under Section 16 of the Financial Intelligence Agency Act, the FIA issued 244 requests to local bank or credit unions, corporate service providers, insurance or securities, investment business, and money service business related entities. As a result of these inquiries, the FIA has disclosed a total of 249 outgoing disclosures, 48 response disclosures, and 204 spontaneous disclosures to local law enforcement, local competent authorities, and overseas financial intelligence units. This breaks down to 132 disclosures disseminated locally to various competent authorities and 117 disclosures to foreign intelligence units. In 2025, the FIA also received 15 from foreign financial intelligence units. Looking ahead, for the 26-27 fiscal year, the increased grant will be strategically used to strengthen the FIA's operational capacity and effectiveness. Key investments will include the recruitment of additional analysts and support staff, upgrades to the IT infrastructure ensuring advanced analytical tools, and enhanced training both in person and virtual, focused on money laundering, terrorist financing, proliferation financing, and high risk and emerging areas such as fraud and digital assets. The FIA will also expand its dedicated strategic analyst workflow to support policy reform and expand stakeholder engagement through public-private partnerships and targeted outreach to improve the quality and compliance of suspicious activity and transaction reports. In conclusion, the FIA remains steadfast in delivering its mandate. The role that they play is invaluable and central to Bermuda's anti-money laundering, anti-terrorist financing, and counter-proliferation financing ecosystem. I extend great gratitude to the board, the director, and staff at the FIA for their tireless efforts. Subjective analysis. Madam Chair, the subjective analysis of current account estimates of the Ministry of Justice Headquarters 2627 is found on page B81. I will highlight the material object code increases and decreases. Salaries increase by $985,000, primarily due to salary increases in the ministry. Professional services increased by $184,000, largely driven by higher legal and consultancy fees. Rental expenses for legal aid increased by $60,000. Other expenses rose by $111,000, driven by increased training, travel, and materials and supplies expenditure. Finally, there was $125,000 increase in grant funding provided. Capital expenditure. Madam Chair, the budget allocation for capital expenditures is found at page C10 of the estimates of revenue and expenditure. The Ministry of Justice Headquarters has been allocated a total of $16,000 for fiscal 26-27. This funding will be utilized to acquire new office furniture, as the existing items are fully depreciated and have no remaining residual value. Manpower. Business Unit 97000. Administration has 5 staff, which will consist of an executive assistant, political aid consultant, administrative assistant, policy analyst, and a ministry comptroller. Business Unit 97030. Legal aid has 10 staff, which will consist of a senior legal aid counsel, junior legal aid counsel, administrative assistant, paralegal, executive assistant, office manager, accounts officer, and 2 pupils. Business Unit 97060. Treatment of Offenders Board has a staff of 1, being an administrative assistant. Business Unit 97080. Financial Sanctions Implementation Unit has 2 staff members, being the head of financial sanctions and a legal counsel. Business Unit 97100. As we continue to strengthen the Office of the Law Reform Commission by the end of fiscal year 26-27, the team will consist of 3 staff: Law Reform Policy and Strategy Counsel, Research and Policy Officer, and an administrative assistant to support the work of the commission. Madam Chair, this budget reflects a targeted investment in strengthening justice delivery and upholding the rule of law in Bermuda. It is aligned with national priorities, and through this allocation, the ministry will continue to drive accountability by delivering measurables and impactful performance outcomes. This ends my presentation on Head 87, the Ministry of Justice Headquarters. Madam Chair, I will now continue with Head 3, the Judicial Department. Madam Chair, the
Junior
mandate.
Minister, just real quick, when you move, just can you make sure you give the page numbers for those persons that may be listening?
Okay, mine might be a little different because my filter, I'm not following from the actual book, but I believe it might be page 2 or no, different page.
This one would be B84.
B84. Okay, thank you,
that's fine.
Madam Chair. I will now present the budget for Head 3, the Judicial Department, found on pages B84 to B91 of the budget book. Mandate. Madam Chair, the judiciary is established by the Constitution as a separate and independent branch of government. Its task is to adjudicate charges of criminal conduct, resolve disputes, and uphold the rights and freedoms of the individual and preserve the rule of law. The mandate. Mandate of the judiciary is to administer justice through the effective management of the courts of Bermuda. The mandate of the administrative arm of the judiciary, the Judicial Department, is to provide the services and support necessary to enable the judiciary to achieve its mission. Madam Chair, I do note as we are nearing our break, do you want me to continue into my substantive for this head, or?
Yeah, we currently have 6 minutes left, so we were going to allow you that
Okay.
time to complete, and that would also be 1 hour of your 4 hours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Manpower. Madam Chair, the judicial system is comprised of 3 levels of court. The Magistrates Court, consisting of the criminal, civil, and family courts. The Supreme Court, consisting of the criminal, civil, and commercial, appellate, family, and matrimonial, and probate jurisdictions, and the Court of Appeal. Ancillary services offered under the umbrella of the judicial system include bailiff services. The Honorable Chief Justice is the head of the judiciary. The Register is the head of the Judicial Department. Collectively, the judiciary and the Judicial Department have a staffing complement of 72 officers, 2 of whom require a work permit, CUNY judges, 57 or 79 filled substantively, 8 or 11% are filled by temporary relief employees, and 7 or 10% are currently vacant. Expenditure review, overview. Capital expenditure. Capital expenditure estimates for 26-27 are found on page C10 of the approved estimates of revenue and expenditure budget book. In 25-26, the department was allocated $1 million to replace its outdated case management system, JAMS, and an additional $18,000 for computer equipment. The department requires a robust case management system that will service all levels of court. The system will be utilized by the judiciary, department staff, attorneys, and self-litigants. It will offer modernized services such as electronic filing with the ability to commence actions online, an online payment portal, and record management. The department issued a request for proposals and received several proposals for consideration. The evaluation and selection process has taken longer than anticipated. However, with the evaluation and selection process now nearing the final stages, it is hoped that the department will utilize the funds allocated for the new case management system before the 25-26 fiscal year comes to an end. The department has not been allocated any capital funding in 26-27. The original estimates for 25-26, $1,018,000. Estimates for 26-27, $0, which represents a decrease of $1,018,000 or 100%. Current account expenditure. Madam Chair, the current account estimates for Head 3, the Judicial Department begin on page B85 of the Estimates of Revenue and Expenditure book. A total of $11,023,000 has been allocated to Head 3 within the Ministry of Justice. This amount represents a $689,000 or 7% increase from the 25-26 fiscal year. Additional funding that has been allocated to the department primarily reflects salary increases following negotiations with the BPSU. Original estimates for 25-26, $10,334,000. Estimates for 26-27, $11,023,000, represent a $689,000 or 7% increase. Performance measures by business unit. Madam Chair, I am pleased to provide an analysis by business unit of the budget estimates allocated to the Judicial Department for the fiscal year 26-27. It is noted that the Judiciary has published its 2020-25 annual report, which outlines the services offered by the Judiciary, the current state of each division of the Magistrates Court, Supreme Court, and the Court of Appeal, and the statistics for the preceding year. It is important, both as a matter of principle and for retaining public confidence, that the judiciary, as an independent branch of the government, gives an account of its performance in discharging its duties to the public and court users. The 2025 annual report is available for viewing on the judiciary's website.
Junior Minister, you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Thank you, Madam Chair. The Supreme Court, Business Unit 13010. Original estimate for 25-26, $1,184,000. Estimates for 26-27, $1,400,000, which represents a $216,000 or 18% increase. This cost center provides for the salaries and operational expenses for the administration of the Supreme Court Registry, for which there are now 11 posts. There are 2 assistant registrars, the Supreme Court manager, accounts personnel, and administrative officers. The increase in funding to this court center reflects an increase to salaries. I'll stop there, Madam Chair, before I head into the next business unit.
You can actually, your time is now up. We are at 12:31, and it's our lunch break. So just for the benefit of the listening public, we are currently in debate for the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and the head that we're currently on is Head 3. I call on one of the members to take us into lunch, and we will resume after lunch. Mr. Hayward.
Madam Chairman, I move that we adjourn for lunch and return at 2 p.m.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to us moving at this time? Thank you, members. The House is adjourned.